Welcome to That's Good Sports. I am Brandon. It's the final day of 2019, which means it's the final day I have herpes for life, Perna. Today, I ask a question we'll never know the answer to. Why would Ron Rivera willingly choose to coach in Washington? He probably would have been the top consideration for any of the coaching vacancies, and yet he chose the Washington Redskin Potatoes, the place that took the soul from Jay Gruden and Mike Shanahan and sold it to Krampus to cover all the money Dan Snyder is losing in ticket sales. I know for a fact, too, that Bill Callahan warned Rivera not to come to Washington. We'll discuss that, and Del Rio going along with Rivera, plus Doug Marrone is officially coming back for another season in Duval. John Dorsey has also been fired in Cleveland. Jason Garrett and the Dallas Cowboys met to discuss how many meetings it will take to actually fire Jason Garrett, and I will tell you where I think Phillip Rivers might go in 2020. I would like to wish everyone a Happy New Year's, but my religion doesn't allow me to celebrate years or number-based holidays. Plus, some of you are going to die this year. That's a sad fact, and I wouldn't want to wish you a good death. That's good sports. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. And what better way to start off 2020 by getting some fresh pube trimmers for your ball pubes. Today's episode sponsored by Manscaped. I'm manscaping expert and legend Brandon Perna, and I've been growing body gardens for about 20 years now. And what I've learned is if you want the tree to look bigger, you need to keep the bushes trimmed. To do that, having the right tools is a necessity, and that's why I ditched these dangerous shears long ago and ordered my products from manscaped.com with promo code GOODSPORTS. That's a weird sound to make in a forest. Manscaping should be easy and convenient, and with the lawnmower, which is waterproof for easy cleaning, you can keep things smooth, avoiding turning your tree into a prickly cactus. These trimmers are designed to help you achieve the intricacy of trimming a delicate bonsai tree, while also having the power to mow down the bush next to the great redwoods. And even if you don't need your tree to look bigger, whoever you are, keeping a well-kept yard is the manly thing to do. It's also probably mandated by your HOA, so use my promo code GOODSPORTS and the link in the description for your puberific discount. I'm a man. Let's start with the biggest news story of the day. Daniel Jones comes fast, according to Dave Gettleman, who said verbatim, "We really believed in Daniel. We didn't know he'd come that fast." When asked about the comment, Daniel Jones responded, "It's hard not to when all they call are rub routes. Rub route after rub route after rub route, with penetration always coming through my line, how am I not going to come fast?" Now, if we listen to the wise words in regard to quarterback play from Bill Belichick,
it's all on the quarterback to beat it and get it off.
Safe to say Daniel Jones has what it takes to be a franchise QB. Danny Dimes only needs 10 seconds to get the job done. Now, Jason Garrett is still technically employed by the Cowboys. I think one thought is Jerry Jones loves Jason so much that he simply wishes to let Garrett's contract run out instead of firing the only man who not only listened to every single word Jerry has ever said, but executed all of Jerry's wishes without argument. My favorite theory, though, is Jason is still blackmailing Jerry Jones with these sex videos as reported by well-known Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist at I Am Terrace. Now, Jason Garrett's contract is up January 14th. If there's any truth to the thought Jerry just can't say the words, "You're fired, Jason," then maybe that is the day Jason says goodbye. Similarly to the way Cowboys fans can't say the words, "I'm proud of my team." The Cleveland Browns fired John Dorsey. I thought general manager John Dorsey had done a decent job at bringing talent to Cleveland. And I say that as someone who every time I heard him talk,
now my wife is a Nazi when it comes to that stuff. I mean, she holds him so accountable.
Thought this might be the most annoying blowhard in the NFL. Possibly a reason the Browns are having a hard time landing interviews with the top-tier coaching candidates. The real winner here, though, is Draft Network writer Joe Marino, who finally wrote the headline I have been searching for. John Dorsey brought wrong ingredients to the kitchen. Yes! 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 Now those bad non-locally sourced ingredients were no belief in needing to spice up an offensive line, zero understanding of how the salary cap works, and absolutely no room to compromise and bring in a sous chef for help. From what I gather, Browns owner Jimmy Haslam wanted to keep Dorsey, but alter his role as GM to be easier and hand off the big boy work that takes some thinking to Paul DePodesta. Dorsey, of course, said, "Fuck you, I'll collect my overinflated salary for the next 2 years and get paid to do nothing. Except aggressively chew my gum until my fucking jaw falls off. Pete Carroll ain't got shit on me except success in Seattle, where I failed miserably." Again, Dorsey knew how to find talent except in the coaching department. Hugh Jackson, Freddie Kitchens, Todd Haley, and what the Browns need now is a new coaching staff. And Jimmy Haslam, as shitty of an owner as he is, smartly was probably like, "Hey John, you can stay, but DePodesta is hiring the coach." Then John Dorsey made Jimmy Haslam pull out his Jimmy Dick so they could compare and see which was bigger. Haslam had the length, Dorsey had the girth, so no clear big dick winner emerged, and they agreed to mutually part ways. Quote of the day, though, goes to Jordan Zerm, who on Twitter said, "Sashi Brown died so Paul DePodesta could live." Now Cleveland moves to find their 12th coach and 10th GM since returning to the league in 1999. Maybe Y2K did happen, but only to the Browns. Head coach Doug Marrone and GM Dave Caldwell will return for another season in Jacksonville, leaving Tom Coughlin as the scapegoat for everything that went wrong in Duval. I really don't know if Doug Marrone is a good head coach. The players like him, and I'm a fan of continuity. Plus, he played football for the London Monarchs from 1991 to 1992, which definitely helps with the Jags' home field advantage over the pond, specifically when they moved there. Now, Marrone did coach the team that nearly went to the Super Bowl in the 2017-18 season with Blake Bortles at quarterback. Do you know how fucking hard that must have been to accomplish? He got 10 regular season wins with Blake Bortles, plus 2 playoff wins. That makes Marrone the David Copperfield of coaching. Bortles' best was 5 wins prior to that, and now Marrone has Gardner Minshew, and the world's best Super Bowl winning backup quarterback in Nick Foles. This season was disappointing for Jacksonville, just like last season, but give the guy a chance to build an offense around Minshew mania, which, like most diseases eradicated from the world, will return in Florida full-blown in 2020. Jacksonville has 2 first-round picks in the upcoming draft, and call me crazy, but maybe they should explore a trade with the Colts. I think Nick Foles would be a much better fit with Frank Reich in Indianapolis and would take a huge salary burden off of Jacksonville's plate. Giants GM Dave Gettleman decided his favorite team in 2019 was the Patriots special teams units. The Giants have requested permission to interview Joe Judge, New England special teams coordinator, who also spent time under Nick Saban in Alabama. Now, outside of the fact that the Patriots special teams units had one of the best seasons I've ever seen, I love the name Joe Judge for a head coach. Knowing Baylor's head coach Matt Rhule is also expected to interview for the Giants, I think New York should think outside the box and hire both guys as co-head coaches, just like when Jim and Michael Scott shared co-manager duties in the office. This way we can say the Judge ruled in favor of the defense as the Giants held the Patriots to 0 points. The Judge has ruled. One thing you should know about Matt Rhule, Giants fans, is he preaches mental toughness above all else.
Toughness is the mental and physical strength. It's strength, mental and physical strength. And I want our kids, I want them to leave and learn all kinds of things, but I want to make sure that they're tough. That they don't make excuses and they don't let other people make excuses for them.
As someone who has a million excuses that have helped me deal with my failures and curtailed my need for antidepressants, I don't think mental toughness is all that important. I like excuses. When something goes wrong, blame the person least likely to speak up. Now, I think we can all agree, though, that the best way to callous the mind and build mental toughness is through repeated head trauma and concussions. Let the Judge rule on toughness. Concussedness. Now, the Dolphins, after firing offensive coordinator Chad O'Shea, if that's even a real person, have now hired retired coach Chan Gailey to be their offensive coordinator, from Chad to Chan. They better hope that the one-letter difference, like chromosomes and human DNA, makes a huge difference. Now, I actually trust Brian Flores, though. Outside not figuring out how they could make Minkah Fitzpatrick happy or work on their defense, he's done the most with the least, with maybe the exception being Mike Tomlin. You might remember Chan Gailey retired in 2016 and is 67 years old, which means he may struggle to get up to speed with today's rules of political correctness in the locker room. There's no way Miami's going to let him distribute his former daily newsletter in the Miami locker room. The Daily with Gailey. It's just gay daily. And it featured a positive affirmations section, yes you Chan Chan Chan, which used to feature caricatures of Chinese men's faces. Now, Chan did run the offense with Ryan Fitzpatrick in Buffalo and with the Jets for several years. But will the Dolphins be willing to invest in a defibrillator for the sideline to jumpstart his heart every time he dies? Chan Gailey has always been a pass-first offensive coordinator, which is great for Fitzmagic. But now Gailey is one morning donut away from converting to a triple bypass first offense. Speaking of the hero of football, Ryan Fitzpatrick, with his win Saturday, has now beaten the Patriots as a member of every AFC East team. That's not the Patriots. And finally, Ron Rivera will be the head coach for the Washington foreskin potatoes that are also red. And he's bringing in Jack Del Rio as defensive coordinator. Now, Rivera is the surname for someone who lived on a riverbank. Del Rio translates to from the river. If the Chargers do move on from Phillip Rivers, I could think of no better place for him to go than to the river so he can Washington himself of his interception sins. The team song will of course be The River by Bruce Springsteen. Their playbook will just be the sequel to the book The Hatchet by Gary Paulson titled The River. Lessons in survival is key to succeeding when Dan Snyder is your overlord. Rivera and Del Rio are pretty good coaches, and their pairing will be welcomed by the Potatoes defense. Maybe with a good GM installed and Dan Snyder stepping back, they can bring winning back to Washington. Rivera won AP's Coach of the Year twice in 2013 and 2015, and Jack Del Rio gave the Raiders their only good team they've had since 2003. If anything, Del Rio's greatest attribute will be helping Rivera navigate an insane asylum disguised as an NFL football team. Thanks for watching another episode of That's Good Sports Coaching 2019 conclusion video of the longest titles that are coming right at your face. Please subscribe here on YouTube. You gotta subscribe, otherwise YouTube sends out hitmen to come to my house in the middle of the night and shoot me dead. It's in their terms of service. If people don't sub, we will murder you.